Stay tuned to see how you can save 10% off using a special promo code later on in the video. Just heading over to the gas dock to have a pump out. It'll be the last pump out of the holding tank that's currently in this boat. There would, the one that was originally installed from the factory. And I'm looking forward to getting rid of all that, you know what I mean. And then we're getting hauled out. Woohoo! Well, the boat got out of the water nice and safe without any issues, and I'm up here on land and starting to sweat already, even though it's still morning. But it's a beautiful summer day. I'm not going to complain. There's not a cloud in the sky, so it's ideal for working both inside and outside of the boat. But of course, today's task at hand is working down here in the bilge, and I'm going to show you what I have to do first to get this job completed. So first thing is I put the hatch, I disconnected the hydraulic ram, and I have it all the way up vertically, so it's going to be a little bit easier to work around in here. Not going to bump my head as much as I normally do. So what I'm going to do first is take off the exhaust. So I'm going to take off the overflow reservoir for the coolant system, and as well I'm going to take off this part of the exhaust, the crossover, and of course the section that runs down below the boat itself. And then I'm going to take off the that beautiful gauge that I put on the boat, and I'm going to leave a link down in the description and show you how that went in, how it works, and how awesome it is, and how it is reusable, and how I installed it. But first of all, let's take this exhaust out and start getting my hands dirty. Indicates to me to get this off of here, because there's an inner pipe in this thing, which I'm guessing this is the outer water jacket, and then the inner, actually the exhaust pipe. So what I'm going to have to do is take this crossover off by raising that, disconnecting the bypass, which is back there with its own little muffler. Okay, so I'm going to take that off, and then that off to lift that, to get out of the way, to pull this pipe right off without removing the riser. Okay, well I got that off. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this hose is delaminating. So she is shot. So I gotta order a new length of hose. Always something. I just sprayed some heavy duty cleaner in there, a little bit choking. But as you can see, the old tank is out. Hoo hoo hoo. I also took the water tank out. It looks kind of scuzzy, so it took a flying leap off of Boogaboo, and it's sitting in a crumpled heap in the corner beside the boat. But as you can see, it's pretty dirty in here. And as I mentioned in the video prior, that one of the things I want to do was clean this up really good, so that is what I am doing now. You can see this black will just come off like that. Again, sorry if I'm jiggling, but wow, like new. So I got the hose, I got a brush, like I mentioned, really heavy duty cleaner, and I'm going to scrub and clean everything in here, and then try the new tank, see if it fits, or I should say see how well it fits. Well, as indicated by the debris pile behind me, I've had a very productive day and I'm very happy. I was able to get the old holding tank out, right down there. Not without a fight, but it's out and I'm happy. And I'm somewhat confident that the new one's going to fit in there. Because that was tight coming out, I'll tell you. I ended up having to take off the, excuse me, the exhaust riser. That's the only way I could get that exhaust hose off, and that exhaust hose is pooch, so I'm glad I looked at that as well. It's starting to delaminate, or it has already delaminated on the inside, so I got a new one of those on order. Hopefully it'll be here in the next couple of days. As well, the water tank, there it is down there, it's all rusty and crapola, and I wasn't happy with it to start with, so it took a flying leap off the side of Boogaboo and landed very unceremoniously there. And a new one is going to be here over the next couple of days, so I'm going to put that in. On the plus side of all that, I was able to get down into that back corner and thoroughly clean everything, scrub everything on my hands and knees, get up into the corner, so I'm very, very happy about that. And with the sun beating on this side of the boat, because that's where the area is that I've been working, it's drying up nicely. So tomorrow's job, first thing, will be fit the new tank in. Fit the new tank in. So I'll see you in the morning. Well, it's day 2. I've already been here for a couple of hours, as Anchor Girl so pleasantly pointed out when she came by for a visit. And I don't have the tank in just yet, because as with any sort of renovation project, one thing leads to another. So what I did this morning was climb down into the bilge and just dried everything up, because there was a little bit of residue water. And 2 of the house batteries are parked just ahead of where the hot water tank was. Sorry, the water heater. I was admonished on that on a previous video. So let's just call it a water heater. So it goes holding tank, water heater, and then 2 of the house batteries. And the 2 house batteries are sitting in trays. Of course, they're all full of water and splooge and everything else, and all sorts of ookies around them. So this leads me into the one thing leads to another. And what I did was I took the batteries out, dried them all up, took the trays right out, clean underneath and in behind there, even cleaned all the screw heads, everything, dried them off and put them back in place and hooked them up again. So that's what's taken me the last 2 hours. So now I am ready to do the first dry run attempt of the new tank. Now bear in mind that this tank is slightly larger than the last one, and the last one just fit out. So fingers crossed, let's go. Well, as you can see, the tank fit, which is awesome. Just a note that if you're going to be doing this job yourself, I know there's a couple of people on Facebook have already asked me what model that of the tank that I got, because they want to do it the same on their own 330s. You don't have to take off that cross piece of exhaust. You look close, you can see I got the clamp still off there, and then that piece that actually goes underneath the boat and hooks up to the little torpedo for the exhaust. I've got that all unclamped, as well as there is an auxiliary muffler off the side, because from the top of this crossover there's about a 2-inch
tube that goes out to an auxiliary muffler, and that's the exhaust that spills over the side of the boat. And of course it needs a lot of pressure then to push the water underneath the boat, so that's why they have that little, it's like almost like a bypass, a temporary bypass I should say at least. So I had that unclamped yesterday. Now I just reclamped it back before I forget, in thinking that I may have to remove this crossover piece, because I wasn't sure that that little arm part that was sticking out facing forward would provide enough clearance, so I thought I would have to take that right out. So anyways, long story short, that doesn't have to be removed. So I'm just going to put all the clamps back on and make sure it's all secure. So the only pieces of the exhaust that really have to be removed in this instance, take out the 28 gallon tank and put in the 34, is just this section of exhaust and the exhaust riser, which I had to take off to get that hose out. So yeah, that's that. So lesson learned. The job for the next person who's going to do this job, it just got a lot easier. But anyways, I'm very, very happy that the tank is now in place. Like I said, I'm just going to hook the clamps back on the exhaust and start doing what I got to do to make that tank a functioning holding tank. If you ever watch the 4-part series of when I replaced the holding tank on our last boat, Boogaboo 4, link in the description, you will recall that I used a big orange vent filter, and I'm using one again here on our current Boogaboo because we had no issues with the last one. It served us very well. We had it on that boat for I think 4 seasons altogether, and I only ever once replaced the charcoal media that goes in here. I'm going to show you how this thing all goes together and why I am doing this first before I actually mount the tank. Now with this kit, it comes with the replaceable charcoal media. So you have to fill each of these chambers. Put these little foam guys in here at the top just to hold everything in place. Level across the top, and then this piece gets screwed onto the top of that, and make sure you get it facing the right way, because that's going to be the back side, and the front side is where the labels are, and you'll see what is going to be going on with that. And just and then that, once this is mounted, will just slide on to there, snap into place. So that way, once it's mounted, you can remove this bottom set of canisters to replace the charcoal. We did ours after the 2nd year, so we got 2 seasons out of it, and I replaced it just because I had the material, and it lasts another 2 seasons, and it was fine. So again, the reason that I'm doing this first before doing anything else with the tank, because I'm going to see now where I have to mount it. Now manufacturer suggests that you can screw this right down to the top of the tank, which would be ideal. However, in our scenario, if it's on this side, it may be a little bit difficult to get at, because remember, the exhaust hose is going to be running across here. If it's at the back, I won't get at it at all, and if it's at the front, that ain't going to happen, simply because even with the tank slid right back, the hot water heater is going to go here. Sorry, the water heater is going to go here. So I have to come up with another mounting solution, and I have a couple of thoughts in mind, so bear with me. But for now, it's going to be, it's basically a given that it won't be mounted to the tank. Now, something else that I ordered from Trionic when I ordered the holding tank was their custom fitting relocation kit, as you can see right here, which is part number CF-60. And of course, all of these items are available on their website. That's where I found it. And in this, now this relocating kit comes with 2 fittings for the inlet and the outlet on a poop tank. And these guys here that go with them, and I'll explain how that's all going to work a little bit later. And then it also comes with 2 of these 1/2-inch guys, but I'm only going to be using one. The other one will be if this was going to be used for a fresh water holding tank. Then of course you would have one for a vent, which is what I'm going to use here. That'll be the vent line. And then the second one would be for the outlet for your water line. And of course then there's an inspection plate. And everything comes with the instructions. Shows you where to mount them on the tanks, which is pretty simple. Need a 3-inch hole saw for these guys, and then a 1 1/4-inch hole saw for the vents, which is something I don't currently have right here, but I will get that. So I'm going to move the tank around to get these 2 going, first of all, because they're going to be here. That'll be the inlet for the holding tank, and then the outlet's going to be down there, and that'll be going to the pump out.
Okay, I got my 3-inch hole marked, and away we go. Holy smokes, these tanks are thick.
So I've got the 2 holes drilled. This is going to be the inlet, the outlet. Of course I got the tank tipped on its side right now just for easier access where I'm working. But I just have to show you how thick these tanks are. This is why they are superior to the one that was on here, which was nowhere near as thick as this. Next step is to install the fittings, and these just press into place. And they're supposed to be leak proof too, so let's see how that goes. So to install these guys, they just pop into place into that 3-inch hole, and then it's recommended put a little bit of soap around this edge, or sorry, around this ring, and a little bit on the fitting itself. And that is supposed to just slide in. I think the trick is just to get the there we go. Ta-da! So the vent fitting is in, and I'm just going to put this inspection plate in here. Now this is completely optional. Hopefully one will never need access inside the tank, but it came with the kit, so I'm going to put it in anyways. So I'm just going to line it up, drill my holes, use the stainless steel screws that they provided, mount it. Of course I'm going to put some sealer around the bottom side of that first before it goes down permanently, and then I can put this in position. I just got to alter the mounting brackets a little bit, because this tank is similar but different. So I just want to get this all in place while I still had maneuvering room to pull it out to get to where I want to work. For example here, where it's a lot easier to work facing right down on top of it rather than back in the corner where it's going to go. Now the inspection plate is in. Hopefully I'll never have to use it, but I just want to show you this. When you spin it out, woo! It's almost, it feels like it's on a spring, just the way they have these lines beveled where those little tabs lock in. So boom. But when you back it out, it almost springs out. You can really feel resistance against the thing pushing up. Which is kind of cool. There we go. Well, it's day 5 of the never-ending major poop tank replacement on this boat. The reason that it is day 5 is because if you've been following along on Facebook, you would have known that we had to replace not only the waste tank, but I ended up replacing the hot water heater as well. Sorry, the water heater as well. Simply because it was old, 20 years old, sitting in water at the bottom, all rusted out, so when I pulled it out, it looked decrepit, so I chucked it over the side, and I'm very happy that we got a brand new 6-gallon, I believe it's a Kuma hot water tank, and it has an aluminum skin on it, so it hopefully will stand up better to the elements. Even though there shouldn't be any water down there, but there is. I've discovered that in the back corner where the rub rail is mounted onto the back port hand corner of the boat, there's water coming in. It looks like it's been coming in there for years because there was heavy black streaks running down the inside of the hull. Of course, I washed it all out when I had the opportunity. So that's going to be another project for another day. I'm going to remove part of the rub rail. If not the rub rail, then whatever I need to do, put some caulking in around there or whatnot, hopefully stop that. So, like I say, it's day 5. The water is on, but not on the boat. What I just finished doing was all the final clamps. I ran out a couple of clamps last night, worked here till almost 9 o'clock last night again. And so I went in the store this morning and grabbed the last 2-inch clamps that I needed for the poop tank lines. So they are on. I checked everything. Everything looks like I haven't forgotten anything yet. So right now when I say the water's on, I have the water filling the freshwater tank here on the boat. So I'm going to let that get up a little bit and then turn the pump on and see what happens. I got to check for leaks on the water tank because there's water in and out, of course, on that, and they're all brand new fittings, so I just want to make sure everything is copacetic there. And then once that looks good, I will turn on the toilet tank pump and just try flushing and see what happens. I'm confident that there will be no issues, but it's always good to check. And then lastly, to get that all put back together, I have to reinstall the exhaust pipe. And you saw earlier, I believe I showed you that the old pipe was pooched. It was starting to delaminate, so I had the guys order me a new one, and there's another $200 down the drain, so to speak. But I'm hoping I can get enough, because I had to order that in 4-foot lengths, and this is, I believe the one I took off was 24 3/4 inches. So I'm going to measure the other side, and if I can fudge 24 inches out of it, which shouldn't be a problem because there's lots of overlap on the piece that goes across the back, then I might be able to do the other side at a later date, because I'm sure it's in as tough a condition as well. So that's where we stand right now. Fingers crossed everything goes good and the Boogaboo boat will be back in the water today. Now I just want to show you how and why I mounted the big orange vent filter here. As I mentioned before, this piece will just slide out, unclip that, and this whole tray will come out. This stays affixed to the top of the water tank. There's actually a wooden plate which is mounted to the water tank, and this is mounted to that wooden plate. And so that will come out, so anytime I want to replace, or anybody down the road wants to replace the charcoal in there, it's easy access. And that was the easiest, best way for me to get at it once I had everything plumbed back in. Now, real simple, the way that works is like a traditional vent filter. Got the line coming off the holding tank to the inside side of it, and then the out goes to the exterior of the boat. Now, I did check to make sure that the line that is running along the side of the boat, because I can't reach right to the very end where the fitting is, I blew through it just to make sure there was no obstructions or critters living in there or dead in there. So that's all good. And this is, as you can see, a semi-clear line that I used, and the reason I did that is twofold. First of all, it's flexible. It's reinforced with nylon, so it's strong. But also, if there's ever a chance of an overflow of the tank, I would see the stinky water inside there. And then if that were to ever happen, the filter is no longer performing, and you would have to take that material out and replace it, the charcoal. So that is just an instant, you know, lift the hatch and I can see what's going on there. Now, Big Orange doesn't only produce this style of unit, but they also have the OEM replacement cartridges, which would just fit into the regular Sealand or Dometic style of filters that most boats come factory equipped with. I prefer this one. We had it on the last boat and it worked great. Never any stinky poopy smells. For me, it's a lot easier to access rather than the tube, which was on this boat mounted up high in the back. You can see the clips. I left those on just for hanging stuff off of. But for me, again, this is a lot easier to get at it. In my mind, it has even bigger area of filtration. So I will leave a link in the description to Big Orange filters. Thanks again, Al, for helping out with this and providing us with this Big Orange filter.
Now, it's always nice to save money when you're working on the boat, so I'm really happy to let you know that Big Orange has offered a 10% discount promo code that you can use upon checkout when you're ordering something from them from their website. Now, all you have to do is enter Boogaboo upon checkout. That's Boogaboo upon checkout, and like I say, it's as simple as that. You can save 10%. Now, that offer is good right till the end of August of this year, 2018, so I hope you'll take advantage of it, and that way you will let them know that you saw this video and that you follow Boogaboo, and everybody's going to be happy because you're saving money, they're selling some product, and we're getting the word out there. So appreciate it again, folks.
As far as the final routing of the plumbing for the poop tank, as you can see, that is the in that is coming off of the vacuum accumulator tank, and I'm going to leave you a link in the description to all the repairs that I've done on these systems over the years on the last boat. Now, this is slightly different just because the accumulator tank is kind of built right in with the pump, as opposed on the last boat there was the pump and the line, and the accumulator tank was like football shaped and sized, and then the lines ran down from there. So this is a little bit more all together. Now, I also replaced the duckbill valves while I had this out, because of course I had to remove that to get the water tank out, the hot water heater, to get out that tank. And so when I had that out, I replaced the duckbill valves, I replaced the bellows, and as well as the pressure switch on there, because this thing is set so when you flush, obviously it's evacuating all the vacuum that's in this tank. And this one, I was reading the notes that Buddy had when they inspected the pressure switch, and if I recall, it's designed to come on at 7.5 pounds and shut off at 10 pounds, and that is factory set. You're not supposed to play with that, even though I did on the last boat, but don't tell anybody. Yeah, so this toilet pump was running on and on and on last weekend, and the duckbill valves aren't that old. So I figured that that thing was starting to go, and again, rather than having to pull it out down the road in the future, I'll do it right now while I had access. So I'm happy that that's done. New duckbill valves, new bellows, and I will leave you a link in the description as well to the full bellows replacement video that I did 3 or 4 years ago on the last boat, and that will show you everything in detail, as well as the if you want to do just a standalone vacuum replacement switch replacement. I believe I have a video on that as well, so I'm going to leave a link to that in the description. So everything is back together. The freshwater tank is full, and I am going to turn on the pump and test for leaks. Now, as the water tank was filling up, I noticed that one was leaking here, so I just cut the end of that plastic pipe off. It was just a little bit knurled on the end, so I cut about a ½ inch off and stuck it back in, and it appears to be okay now. Oh, one more thing. You see those funky aluminum brackets that I built, or sorry, manufactured? I got just stock aluminum flat bar at Home Depot and just bent it to shape. And of course, it's all screwed down again with the big stainless steel screws that came with the old tank. And I also reinstalled the holding tank monitor, and as well, I'm going to leave a link in the description from when I initially put that on the last tank last year on this boat, so you'll have the full description of how to install that. It's a fantastic system we had on the last boat, and again, no moving parts, works great. Highly recommend. Okay, we're at the panel. Fresh water. Let's see, that tank should be full. Ooh, right on. Fresh water pump. Now that's going to run for a while because it's got to fill up the hot water heater. Water heater, whatever. I keep calling it hot water heater. That's probably what I'm going to call it from now on. So anyways, that's on, it's running. I'm just going to take a look for leaks. And once it's gotten to full pressure, filled the hot water tank, I will turn the toilet on. But I'm just going to leave that for the time being. Now also one other thing that I did while I had the water off and everything empty, excuse me, I replaced the seal on the toilet because it was leaking down over time. And that is it. It's just a simple job. All one has to do is remove the cover that goes over the foot pedal on the Vacuflush, and as well that shroud that goes around there. And it's just one hose clamp, two little clamshells that come off, boom, the toilet comes off. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. And again, I've replaced that a number of times in boats, or in the last boat. And as well, I'll leave you a link in the description to at least 2 videos I have on that, and we'll show you in detail how to do that job. It's a simple job, 20 minutes tops.
Well, after a week on land, it sure is nice to have the boat back in the water and to be driving on the water. That was a big project, I'll tell you. Hopefully, 3rd time's the charm, and I will never have to do that again. However, for a younger man, it would be a nice challenge, I think. Like I said, I've done it twice before. I don't think I'll ever be doing it again myself. It's a lot of work, especially considering all the different projects that I put together as, you know, on top of the holding tank. So I just want to give a big shout out to Trionic Corporation, the fellows who hooked us up with the holding tank and helped us out there. I hope you can check out their website and see what Practical Sailor magazine had to say about their holding tanks. All high marks from them, as well as they had from me, given good success we had on Boogaboo 4. As well, I want to mention Big Orange. Thank you again, Al, for helping us out with that. I will leave the link in the description to both Big Orange as well as Trionic. I hope you guys have a chance to check them out, see what they offer, and hopefully you can find something for yourself if you ever need be. As always, if you get in touch with them, I would appreciate if you could just mention that you saw it here. Just mention the Boogaboo crew, and that you saw it here on YouTube. That would help me a lot, and I'm sure that folks at Trionic and Big Orange would appreciate hearing that as well. So that's it. I am just about to head back into our slip. It is Friday afternoon of a long weekend, and I'm thirsty. So, again, thanks for following along. I hope this one was interesting as always. All right, that's it. I hear the corona's coming. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos coming out. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Daily updates there, and always lively conversation on Facebook, so you don't want to miss it. And you can also follow us at boatsbeachesandbars.com, where you can find even more links to all sorts of neat things, including our online store. And you'll find all the links to everything mentioned up here, down there in the description. So you'll have no excuse not to follow along. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.